Morning everyone, welcome to the channel. It's Sunday morning, May 14th. I'm down here at Table Rock Wildlife Management Area. It's about 5:20 in the morning. Shooting lights in about 15 minutes. Sunrise is in about 45 minutes. So I'm gonna get some things packed up, get out in the parking lot, listen, see if we can hear a bird gobble. I'm in that parking lot that's just above that cornfield on the west side of the property, but I'm also going to listen to see if birds gobble on the east side of the property. We're the only ones here right now, so I haven't checked that other parking lot. I don't know if anybody else is over there or not, but we're gonna get out, listen, see if we can hear a bird gobble and see what happens. It's about 5:45. I haven't heard a bird gobble yet, but it was kind of cloudy and stormy last night, so it wouldn't surprise me if they start a little later this morning. I'm gonna take a chance that this little cornfield that we scouted last time and saw birds on last time, it's gonna be a pretty decent place this morning. Got everything packed up. I'm just gonna hike down this little access road to the cornfield down here and set up a couple decoys and start there. Just made it down here to the little cornfield. I'm gonna try and set up in this corner over here. Get a couple decoys out, get set up in a cedar tree, and see if the birds fly down and use this cornfield this morning. Just got set up in this little cornfield down here. Got a chicken hen decoy out in front of me. I'm in a spot that I cleaned out a couple weeks ago, got all the leaves out of it. There's a little cedar tree on this side, a little sapling on this side to kind of block our view. I'm just sitting on a 5-gallon bucket with a pad. There's an owl back behind me hooting. And every time it hoots, there's a turkey gobbling up on top of the ridge. I'm guessing it's at least 300 yards up the ridge, but I'm hoping since everything was wet today and kind of thick back there that he'll work his way down fly down toward me and work his way down the ridge to this cornfield. Maybe strut on this cornfield this morning. So just gonna sit tight, listen, see what happens, and then we'll make adjustments from there. It's about 9:30. I've been hunting on this little cornfield right here for about over 3 hours. I think we got in here at like 5:45 this morning. Might have been 6 o'clock by the time I got the decoys and everything set up, but I heard a couple birds gobble. One back behind me. I thought that bird was up between the two cornfields, maybe. I did hear a bird gobble down here. in the very corner of this cornfield. I thought it was actually in the field with me. It was about maybe 7 o'clock in the morning. It just gobbled one time. I never heard it gobble on the roost. It sounded like it was already down on the ground when it gobbled, but it gobbled one time, never gobbled again. I yelped to it a couple times. It wouldn't respond. Never heard it again. I have heard quite a few gobbles up on the private land. They sound like they're, well, at least a half a mile away, maybe a little more. It's not very windy this morning, so you can hear gobbles from a long ways away. But I'm actually gonna pack the decoys up. Everything got kind of quiet around here. I haven't heard any turkeys for at least an hour and a half in this area, so I'm gonna pack the decoys up. I'm gonna go check that parking lot on the southeast side of the property. If there's nobody in there, I'm actually gonna go up in there and scout that side of it, but I'm also gonna drive around the north side of the property on my way over there and see if I can see those birds that are on the private land and see if there's a chance that I think I could set something up to call them down out of there. I'm gonna pack up, head to the Jeep, and go for a little drive around the property and maybe do a little scouting, see if I can find something that's a little better. So I parked down in the southeast parking lot at Table Rock Wildlife Management Area. That first opening is really tall CRP. I'm gonna work my way up this trail and start checking some of these fields and see what they are, see if there's a decent place to set up, or maybe I hear a bird gobble on the way and we start cutting distance on him. So just gonna go for a hike nice and slow and listen and explore. Looks like we're coming up to a field opening up here, so just gonna be quiet, come up slow, kind of peek over the hill, see if there's any birds on it. Looks like just a strip of CRP with a little like access road next to it. I think this is going to get us access to this first field right here too. Just going by memory of what I saw on the aerial photo. looks like just an open hayfield. I'm actually gonna go back this way and up that little logging road. I want to go check that other field all the way up on the top side of the ridge, and just worked my way down this little road and got to about right here, and a hen actually came out of the CRP right there. It was actually about right in front of that cedar tree on the left hand side up there. Kind of came out of the CRP and ran down the logging road between the cedar trees right there. Looks like this top field's a cut cornfield also. Just gonna sneak up quiet and see if there's a road on it. There's lots of deer tracks up here, which doesn't really surprise me. It's kind of right in the middle of the property, so it's a long walk to get up here if you want to hunt. Most people don't want to walk that far. I'm actually gonna work my way around this edge of the field and up to that little green strip by the power poles up there. I'm gonna kind of follow those power poles. I think there's a pond up there that I want to confirm if it's got water in it or not. Also gonna check this field for turkey tracks, this field edge for turkey tracks along. Working my way around the edge of it. I think this little trail right here is going to take me back to that little short green field, and I think that pond that I thought I saw from the aerial photos down in the bottom of this little jaw right here. So if that's true, I'm gonna check that little green field, and then I'm gonna follow that back out, just make a big loop. I haven't really heard a bird. I saw that one hen, but I haven't heard any birds gobble. I've been stopping every time the crows make noise just to see if they'll shock gobble. Just trying to scout this place too to see if there's better places to set up. And sometimes it's easier to, sometimes you learn more by coming out, just walking it, than you do on an aerial photo. The fields change, the crops change. Here's what that little green field looks like, basically from the top down. I'm all the way up in the top corner, but I'm looking down toward the southeast. There's would definitely be a fun little place to bow hunt if you wanted to sneak in and set a stand on it. And there's a lot of wooded ridge off to the west side of it, so I definitely hunt it with a west or northwest wind. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's quite a few deer in this, especially if they mow it down. I don't know if they're just gonna let it all grow up 6 feet tall, or if they're gonna come in and mow it down. If they come in and mow it down, it would definitely be a fun early season bow hunting spot. Deer season. Just wanted to take a few minutes to go over the aerial photo of what I did this morning, or an aerial view of what I did this morning. This is Table Rock Wildlife Management Area. I came up 627 Avenue, parked in this parking lot, hiked in on this trail right here. I didn't hear any birds gobble, but I was banking on this cut cornfield being a decent place to hunt this morning, so I hiked around the woods right here into the edge of the cornfield. I actually set decoys up about right here. Got in a little cedar tree blind, not really a blind, just sat next to a cedar tree that in a space that I cleared out a couple weeks ago when I was there. I just cleared out all the leaves between a cedar tree and a sapling right there so I could hide a little bit. There was an owl back here on the ridge hooting. I heard a turkey gobble maybe 3 times in the morning. I was guessing that he was back up here somewhere. About a half hour after I heard him gobble the first 3 times, I heard one gobble in this area right here. I thought the bird was on the ground. I actually, when I first heard it, thought that it was in the field already down in this corner somewhere. But the problem with where I set up right here is I couldn't see around this corner. If there was anything back in this little corner, I couldn't see anything. I could only see about this line into the field. So when I was sitting there, I heard birds gobbling on the private land up here somewhere. So from where I was sitting, I marked a point. It was actually the opening to walk into this field. So when I got home and looked at an aerial photo, I could try and figure out where those birds were gobbling. But I figured if I drew a line from right here over this little opening into the field and straight out, that I'd be able to figure out where they were gobbling. After I hunted here for about 3 hours, I hiked back up the trail, got in my Jeep, drove up this 627 Avenue. I actually, just out of curiosity, drove all the way up here. As I passed this little creek bottom section of woods right here, I saw a tom and a hen out on the field right here. They walked over to the woods right there and went in the woods. So I'm guessing that that's the bird that I heard gobbling in the morning, and he gobbled almost consistently for the first 3 hours after daybreak, which doesn't surprise me. That happens sometimes, that on public land where they don't get ran around, they just stand out in the field with a hen and gobble their brains out. But I also saw a Jake and a Tom and a hen on this side of the field, and it sounded like when I was sitting on the field edge down here that there was a bird up here that was closer and a bird that was farther away. So I'm guessing that they were just bouncing gobbles back and forth across the road this morning. So after I saw those birds right there, I didn't think there was any way I was going to be able to call them back into the public land. So I turned around, came down this road, actually drove up in this parking lot and put binoculars on these openings. They were burnt out earlier in the year, but they're starting to grow grass back in them now. So just wanted to check what I could see with binoculars. And I came back down 715 Road till I got to 628 Avenue, drove down here. You can actually see these 2 fields all the way up to the border of the wildlife management area from this road. So they were cut cornfields. I just checked them for birds as I was coming down the road. Turned right here, came into this little southeast parking lot, followed the trail up from that parking lot. This is a little section of like CRP with the road on the right hand side of it that you can see in the video. This is the little opening into the bottom of that little hay meadow that I went through. Then I came back this way because I wanted to check this field up here too. I actually got to about right here, and that's where that hen came around the corner and ran down the little access road and then back into the woods. So I kind of followed her up, got to the corner of this little cornfield. The rows run this way, so I just checked that for birds as I was walking down the edge. Just came around the standing rows and looked down the cut rows. I didn't see any birds on that field. I actually worked my way up around the woods right here, back down this little access road, got to the top of the little green field, and that's where I showed in the video from the top of the green field facing southeast. And I worked my way down to here. I thought this might be a pond, a little pond on the aerial photo, but it's not. It's actually just a dry canyon, basically. I'm sure it has water in it when it rains, but it was dry when I crossed it. I actually got to about right here, and I crossed, got my phone out, looked at the aerial photo again, saw this little opening on the aerial photo. So I cut down through the canyon and popped out right here. This was all CRP. So I followed that field edge back down to about right here and then cut across the draw again. This was super thick. It doesn't look like there's that much cover there, but there is a ton of deadfall and undergrowth, and it was a nightmare trying to get through there. But it was the closest path to the parking lot. I didn't want to cross back through here and work my way back up, so I just busted brush till I got through it, and then came out right here, followed this back down to the parking lot. By the time I got down there, it was about 1:30, and I still had an hour and a half drive to get home, so I wanted to be home in time to grill Mother's Day dinner for my wife and son. So I basically just packed everything up there and headed back to Omaha. Just wanted to go through kind of an aerial walkthrough of what I did and how I scouted, and then you can use what I showed you on this map with the video that I took to decide if there's any places in there that you'd like to go hunt for turkeys this spring or deer this fall. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos, and thanks for watching.